long before history was written in stone, long before kings carved their names into monuments or armies marched beneath banners of empire, a quiet revolution was unfolding along the fertile plains of South Asia, with a mighty Indus River and its tributaries flowed from the snow-fed mountains of the Himalayas toward the Arabian Sea, shaping one of the most hospitable landscapes on Earth. Thousands of years ago, as the last ice age loosened its grip and climate slowly stabilized, this vast region, stretching across present-day Pakistan and northwest India, became a cradle of human possibility, a place where water, soil, and geography aligned to invite settlement, experimentation, and eventually civilization itself. The rivers flooded predictably, depositing rich alluvial soil that nourished crops season after season, while the surrounding plains offered open land for grazing animals and building permanent homes. For early human communities, this land was not just survivable, it was abundant, and abundance changed everything. Where once people moved endlessly in search of food, now they could stay, observe the rhythms of nature, and begin shaping the environment to meet their needs. Archaeological evidence reveals that as early as 7000 BCE, small farming communities had begun to appear in the foothills of the Indus region, most notably at a site known as Mehrgarh, one of the earliest known agricultural settlements in South Asia. Here, people domesticated wheat and barley, herded cattle, sheep, and goats, and built simple mud brick homes clustered together in ways that hinted at future urban planning. These were not isolated experiments. They were the seeds of something larger, passed down through generations as knowledge accumulated. How to irrigate fields, how to store surplus grain, how to shape clay into pottery, how to work stone and bone into tools. Slowly, imperceptibly, human life became more complex, more organized, and more interdependent. Families turned into communities, communities into villages, and villages into networks bound together by shared resources and mutual reliance. What made the Indus region especially remarkable was not just its fertility, but its connectivity. The river system acted like a natural highway, linking distant settlements and encouraging interaction rather than isolation. People exchanged goods, ideas, and skills along these waterways, fostering a cultural cohesion that stretched across hundreds of kilometers. Unlike regions hemmed in by deserts or mountains, the Indus plains were open, expansive, and welcoming to growth. Seasonal floods were not feared, but anticipated, understood, and eventually managed. Over centuries, inhabitants learned how to adapt their farming cycles to the river's behavior, developing a deep environmental intelligence that allowed society to flourish without exhausting the land. As populations grew, so did the need for order. Storage facilities became larger and more centralized. Craft specialization emerged, with some individuals focusing on pottery, others on bead making, metallurgy, or textile production. Social roles diversified, not through rigid hierarchies enforced by kings, but through cooperation and shared purpose. This early Indus society did not announce itself through conquest or monumental temples. It evolved quietly, steadily, guided by practical solutions rather than displays of power. And this is perhaps the most extraordinary aspect of its origin. The Indus civilization did not burst into existence through sudden domination, but through gradual refinement of everyday life. By around 3300 BCE, something unprecedented began to shape. Villages expanded into towns, and towns into cities. Building techniques became standardized, bricks fired to precise dimensions and used consistently across vast distances, suggesting not only shared knowledge, but shared values. Streets began to align in straight lines, homes followed common layouts, public spaces were planned deliberately rather than growing chaotically. This was not accidental growth, it was intentional design. Somewhere along this long arc of development, people of the Indus Valley crossed an invisible threshold, becoming one of the world's first truly urban civilizations. And yet, unlike Egypt or Mesopotamia, they left behind no towering pyramids, no royal statues, no boastful inscriptions declaring divine rulers. Their focus was not on immortalizing individuals, but on perfecting systems that allowed large populations to live together efficiently, cleanly, and sustainably. To understand why this matters, we must consider the world as it existed at the time. In Mesopotamia, city-states rose and fell amid constant warfare. In Egypt, monumental architecture proclaimed the absolute power of pharaohs, believed to be gods on earth. Civilization elsewhere was loud, hierarchical, and often brutal. But along the Indus, something different was happening, an experiment in collective urban life that prioritized infrastructure over ideology, sanitation over spectacle, and stability over conquest. This contrast makes the Indus Valley not just ancient, but astonishingly modern in its priorities. The people who lived here likely did not think of themselves as founders of a civilization. They were farmers, builders, traders, families raising children and planning for the next harvest. And yet, through countless small decisions, where to place a well, how wide to make a street, how to manage waste, how to divide land, they were laying the groundwork for cities that would eventually house tens of thousands of people. Cities that at their peak would rival anything else on earth. Cities that emerged without known kings, standing armies, or religious monuments dominating the skyline. This slow rise was possible because the Indus world developed during a period of relative climatic stability known as the Holocene climate optimum, when rainfall patterns supported agriculture across wide areas. Rivers flowed strongly, monsoons arrived reliably, and ecosystems thrived. It was a window of opportunity in human history, and the people of the Indus Valley seized it with remarkable foresight. They built not just for the present, but for generations they would never meet, trusting that the systems they created would endure. As centuries passed, settlements spread across an area larger than ancient Egypt and Mesopotamia combined. From the foothills of the Himalayas to the Arabian Sea, a shared cultural horizon emerged, distinct in style, unified in purpose. Pottery designs echoed across distant sites, tools followed familiar forms, burial practices reflected shared beliefs about life and death. Even without decipherable written records, the archaeological footprint of the Indus Valley speaks clearly. This was a civilization built on coordination, trust, and collective responsibility. And yet, for all its quiet brilliance, the Indus Valley remained invisible to history for thousands of years. While other ancient civilizations were remembered through myths, scriptures, and classical writings, the Indus cities lay buried beneath layers of silt and sand, forgotten even by those who lived atop their ruins. It was not until the 20th century that their existence was rediscovered, forcing historians to rewrite the story of civilization itself. Suddenly, the idea that urban life began only in Mesopotamia or Egypt was no longer tenable. Here was evidence of a third, independent path to civilization, one that followed its own rules, its own values, and its own trajectory. This is where our story truly begins, not with the fall, not with mystery, but with possibility, with a land shaped by rivers, a people shaped by patience, and a civilization shaped by cooperation rather than conquest. Before the megacities, before the great baths and grid streets, before the seals and scripts, there was simply a region where humans learned to live together in unprecedented numbers, laying the foundation for one of the most enigmatic and influential civilizations the world has ever known. And in understanding how it began, we take the first step towards understanding why it rose so high, and why, one day, it would fade into silence.
As the centuries passed and small farming villages multiplied across the Indus Plains, a transformation unlike anything humanity had yet witnessed quietly took shape. Because somewhere between survival and stability, the people of this region crossed a threshold that would forever change how humans lived together. By around 2600 BCE, the scattered settlements of the Indus Valley began to coalesce into something extraordinary: true cities, vast in scale, meticulously planned, and astonishingly uniform across hundreds of miles. This was not a sudden explosion of urban life, but a carefully managed evolution, guided by principles of order, standardization, and collective design. Out of the fertile earth rose Harappa, Mohenjo-Daro, Dholavira, Lothal, and dozens of other urban centers, cities so advanced that even today they challenge our understanding of ancient capabilities. These were not chaotic clusters of buildings growing at random. They were deliberately designed environments laid out with a precision that feels almost modern, suggesting a shared vision of how a city should function. The first thing that astonishes archaeologists is the grid. Streets in Indus cities ran north to south and east to west, intersecting at right angles, creating organized blocks of residential and public space. Main avenues were wide enough for carts and foot traffic, while smaller lanes branched inward toward private homes. This grid was not limited to one city or one generation. It appeared again and again across the civilization, from the northern reaches near Harappa to the southern coastal settlements near the Arabian Sea. Such consistency implies more than imitation. It suggests a deeply ingrained urban philosophy, a shared understanding of efficiency, hygiene, and accessibility that transcended individual communities. Unlike cities elsewhere, which often grew organically and unevenly, the Indus cities were planned before they were built, reflecting foresight on a massive scale. Equally remarkable was the uniformity of construction materials. Fired bricks made to precise ratios were used across the entire civilization. Whether in homes, wells, drainage systems, or city walls, these bricks followed standardized measurements, a feat that required centralized coordination and widespread agreement. This standardization extended beyond architecture into weights and measures used in trade, pointing to a sophisticated economic system that relied on fairness and consistency rather than coercion. The absence of visible palaces or grand temples dominating these cities only deepens the mystery. Power, if it existed, was not expressed through monumental self-glorification. Instead, it was embedded in systems that served everyone. Mohenjo-Daro, perhaps the most famous of these cities, stands as the clearest example of this urban genius. At its height, it likely housed tens of thousands of inhabitants, making it one of the largest cities in the ancient world. Rising above its neighborhoods was a carefully constructed citadel, not a royal fortress, but a platform supporting public structures, including granaries and the legendary Great Bath. Below it stretched the lower city, a dense network of homes, workshops, and streets, each connected to a citywide drainage system unparalleled in antiquity. Almost every house had access to clean water through wells, and wastewater was channeled away through covered drains lined with bricks and inspection holes, features that would not become common again in many parts of the world for thousands of years. Harappa, in the north, mirrored this same design philosophy. Its streets followed the same grid, its bricks matched the same dimensions, and its public infrastructure reflected the same priorities. Even cities separated by vast distances seemed to operate as parts of a single urban culture rather than independent experiments. This raises one of the greatest unanswered questions of the Indus Valley. How did such widespread uniformity emerge without clear evidence of centralized kingship or empire? There are no royal tombs, no statues of rulers, no inscriptions proclaiming conquest, and yet the cities speak of coordination on a scale that implies leadership, planning, and long-term vision. Power in the Indus world appears to have been subtle, administrative rather than authoritarian, woven into civic life rather than imposed from above. These cities were also inclusive in design. Residential neighborhoods varied in size, but followed similar layouts, suggesting a society with relatively low levels of visible inequality compared to its contemporaries. While some homes were larger and more elaborate than others, the difference was modest. Access to water, sanitation, and public spaces was widespread, not restricted to an elite minority. This challenges traditional assumptions about how early civilizations functioned, suggesting that the Indus Valley may have prioritized communal well-being over rigid hierarchy. The city itself was the monument, its success measured not by grandeur, but by livability. Trade played a crucial role in sustaining these megacities. Workshops produced beads from carnelian and lapis lazuli, finely crafted pottery, metal tools and seals used to mark goods. Dockyards such as the one at Lothal reveal maritime capabilities, indicating that Indus traders sailed along the coast and engaged in long-distance commerce. These cities were not isolated. They were nodes in a vast network connecting inland farms, distant mines, and foreign markets. Urban life thrived because it was supported by a well-organized hinterland, where farmers, herders, and craftspeople worked in coordination with city centers. What makes the Indus megacities truly revolutionary is not just their size or technology, but their philosophy. Unlike other ancient cities built around palaces or temples, Indus cities were built around people. Streets were clean, waste was managed, water was accessible, public spaces were central. This suggests a worldview that valued order, health, and cooperation as foundations of civilization. It's possible that religious or ideological authority existed, but it was expressed through ritual spaces integrated into daily life rather than dominating it. The Great Bath, for example, hints at communal ceremonies centered on purification rather than worship of a ruler or deity. By 2300 BCE, the Indus Valley Civilization had reached its zenith. It covered over 1 million square kilometers, encompassing hundreds of settlements and dozens of major cities. At a time when much of the world still lived in small villages, the Indus people had mastered large-scale urban living without apparent reliance on militarism or rigid social stratification. It was, in many ways, humanity's first experiment with sustainable urbanism, a model that prioritized systems over symbols, balance over domination. And yet, beneath this remarkable achievement lay an unspoken vulnerability. Cities of such scale depended on stable climate, reliable rivers, and uninterrupted trade. Their strength was also their fragility. The very systems that allowed them to flourish would one day be tested beyond their limits. But for now, at the height of their power, the cities of the Indus Valley stood as the most advanced urban centers on Earth, quiet, orderly, and confident in their permanence. They had solved the riddle of how humans could live together in vast numbers, not through force, but through design. And for centuries, it worked. This was the birth of the first megacities, not loud, not boastful, but profoundly transformative. Cities that did not seek to conquer the world, yet reshaped human history simply by existing. And as we move deeper into their story, we begin to see that their greatest achievements were not etched in stone inscriptions, but built into the very fabric of daily life. Streets, drains, wells, and homes, silent testimonies to a civilization far ahead of its time.
As the Indus Valley Civilization reached its peak, it revealed something even more astonishing than its size or geographic spread, a level of engineering sophistication so advanced that it would remain unmatched in many parts of the world for thousands of years, quietly redefining what an ancient city could be. While other civilizations focused their resources on temples, tombs, and palaces designed to glorify gods or kings, the people of the Indus Valley invested their genius into something far more radical, urban infrastructure that served everyday life. Their cities were not just places to live, they were carefully engineered systems designed to manage water, waste, movement, and public health with a precision that feels strikingly modern. Nowhere in the ancient world do we see such a consistent, large-scale commitment to practical engineering over monumental display. And it is this choice that sets the Indus civilization apart as one of history's greatest yet least celebrated innovators. At the heart of this achievement was water management. In a region shaped by seasonal monsoons and powerful rivers, water could be both a blessing and a threat. The Indus people understood this duality intimately, and their response was not fear, but control. Cities like Mohenjo-Daro contained hundreds of wells, more per capita than almost any ancient city, strategically placed so that nearly every household had access to fresh water. These wells were not crude holes in the ground. They were expertly lined with precisely fitted bricks, often reinforced to prevent collapse and contamination. This widespread access to clean water suggests a society deeply concerned with hygiene, health, and equality, where water was not monopolized by elites but distributed across the urban landscape. Even more remarkable was how the Indus engineers handled wastewater. Beneath the streets ran an intricate network of covered drains, carefully sloped to allow waste to flow away from homes and public spaces. These drains were built with inspection points and removable covers, indicating regular maintenance and long-term planning. Household bathrooms, often on upper floors, drained into vertical pipes that connected seamlessly with the main sewer system, an architectural feature that would not reappear in many civilizations until the Roman era, and even then, not with the same universality. In most ancient cities, waste was dumped into streets or open pits, breeding disease and filth. In the Indus Valley, waste was hidden, managed, and removed, preserving urban cleanliness on a scale unprecedented for its time. Flood control was another silent triumph of Indus engineering. Cities were often built on raised platforms, elevating entire neighborhoods above the surrounding floodplain. This required immense labor and coordination, yet it protected settlements from seasonal river surges that might otherwise have destroyed them. In Mohenjo-Daro, layers of rebuilding suggest that when floods did occur, the city was not abandoned but carefully reconstructed, brick by brick, preserving its original layout. This resilience reflects a civilization that did not merely react to disasters but planned for them, embedding adaptability into its urban design. Public infrastructure extended beyond water and drainage into storage and resource management. Massive granaries discovered at sites like Harappa suggest centralized systems for storing surplus grain, buffering against famine and seasonal scarcity. These structures were built with ventilation channels to keep grain dry, showing an understanding of airflow and preservation. While scholars still debate whether these were truly granaries or multifunctional public buildings, their scale alone implies coordinated planning and collective resource management. Such systems would have been essential to sustaining large urban populations, reinforcing the idea that Indus cities were not isolated marvels, but components of a carefully balanced regional economy. The engineering mindset of the Indus people also shaped how cities were organized socially and spatially. Residential areas were arranged in standardized blocks, yet flexible enough to accommodate workshops, courtyards, and family expansions. Houses were often 2 stories high, built around private wells or drainage points, indicating that engineering solutions were integrated into domestic life rather than imposed from outside. Streets were designed to separate pedestrian areas from heavy traffic, while larger avenues allowed movement of goods and animals. This attention to flow of people, water, waste, and resources reveals a holistic understanding of the city as a living organism, one that required balance to survive. Perhaps the most iconic symbol of Indus engineering is the Great Bath of Mohenjo-Daro, a structure that continues to puzzle and inspire archaeologists. Built with watertight bricks sealed by bitumen, the bath was designed to hold water without leakage, a feat requiring advanced knowledge of materials and construction. Steps led down into the pool, while surrounding rooms suggest controlled access and ritual use. Unlike temples elsewhere, the Great Bath was not dedicated to a visible deity or ruler. Instead, it appears to have been a communal space, possibly used for purification rituals that emphasized collective participation rather than hierarchical worship. Its existence underscores the Indus focus on shared civic experiences, engineered with precision and purpose. What makes all of this even more extraordinary is the scale at which it was implemented. These engineering principles were not limited to a single showcase city. They were replicated across hundreds of settlements, large and small.
This level of standardization implies extensive knowledge transfer, training, and governance structures capable of maintaining consistency over vast distances. Yet, despite this complexity, there is no clear evidence of coercive authority or militarized enforcement. The Indus system appears to have functioned through consensus, tradition, and shared norms rather than visible domination. It is engineering as culture, infrastructure as ideology. In comparing the Indus Valley to its contemporaries, the contrast becomes stark. While Mesopotamian cities struggled with sanitation and frequent flooding, and Egyptian settlements clustered around monumental temples, the Indus cities quietly solved problems that others accepted as inevitable. They created environments where large populations could live with relative health, order, and dignity. This achievement challenges the assumption that technological progress follows a single path defined by conquest and kingship. The Indus Valley shows us another possibility, a civilization that advanced by perfecting systems rather than glorifying power. And yet, this very reliance on systems would eventually expose a hidden fragility. Engineering solutions, no matter how advanced, depend on stable environmental conditions. Rivers must flow where expected. Monsoons must arrive on time. Trade must continue uninterrupted. For centuries, the Indus Valley managed this balance masterfully, but as we will see, when the environment itself began to change, even the most sophisticated infrastructure could not fully compensate. Still, at its height, the Indus Valley Civilization stood as a triumph of human ingenuity. Its cities were clean, organized, resilient, and humane in ways that feel startlingly familiar to modern urban planners. Long before skyscrapers and sewers, before zoning laws and public utilities, the Indus Valley people had already asked the fundamental question of urban life. How can humans live together in large numbers without chaos? Their answer was not domination, but design. And in answering that question, they built cities not just ahead of their time, but ahead of ours.
Life in the Indus Valley was a delicate balance of routine, skill, and community. A rhythm shaped not by rulers or armies, but by the cycles of nature and the careful planning of cities that prioritized human needs above grandeur. And to truly understand the civilization, we must step beyond ruins and artifacts to imagine the daily experiences of the people who once walked its streets. From the early morning, when the first light of dawn spilled across the brick-paved lanes of Mohenjo-Daro and Harappa, families would emerge from their homes to begin the labor and activities that sustained their society. Men and women worked side by side, tending to gardens, transporting goods, and managing livestock that grazed on the outskirts of the city. Children were not idle. They carried out small errands, assisted in workshops, and learned essential skills from their elders, from crafting beads to shaping clay, absorbing knowledge that would ensure the continuation of both trade and culture. The homes, built with uniform bricks and equipped with private wells and small courtyards, provided not only shelter, but a space for family cohesion, hygiene, and basic comfort, illustrating a civilization that placed human well-being at its core. The Indus diet reflected both the fertility of the land and the sophistication of their agriculture. Wheat, barley, and legumes formed the staple base, supplemented by fruits, vegetables, and dairy from domesticated cattle, sheep, and goats. Fishing in the rivers and streams provided protein, while trade brought exotic goods from distant lands, enriching the culinary palate with spices, oils, and rare foods. Kitchens were often simple but functional, arranged to allow efficient preparation of meals for large households, and food storage techniques, including granaries and sealed vessels, ensured that communities could survive seasonal shortages or delays in trade. Eating was not merely sustenance, it was embedded in social and ritual life, with shared meals strengthening bonds between families, neighbors, and wider community networks. Crafts and production were central to daily life, with a remarkable division of labor emerging as a hallmark of Indus society. Artisans specialized in pottery, bead making, metallurgy, and textile production, creating goods that were both functional and aesthetically refined. Streets echoed with the sounds of hammering bronze, shaping clay, and weaving fibers into garments that were practical, durable, and at times intricately decorated. Beads crafted from carnelian, lapis lazuli, and shell were not mere adornments, but symbols of identity, trade, and cultural expression, while finely made tools allowed farmers and builders to sustain the infrastructure that supported tens of thousands of urban dwellers. Work was not limited to the elite or specialized classes. Most households participated in some form of production, creating a society where craft, commerce, and domestic life were intimately connected. Markets and trade hubs brought vibrancy and movement to city streets. Merchants displayed goods from local workshops alongside exotic imports from Mesopotamia, the Iranian plateau, and the Arabian Peninsula. Clay seals, engraved with the mysterious Indus script, marked ownership and authenticity, serving as early forms of commerce regulation. Buyers and sellers negotiated, exchanged stories, and reinforced social ties, creating a bustling urban culture that combined practicality with social interaction. Beyond material trade, these markets were also centers of knowledge transfer, where ideas, techniques, and customs traveled as freely as goods, further unifying the civilization across its vast territory. Sanitation and hygiene were not afterthoughts, but central to daily routines. Families would draw water from private wells, bathe in small courtyards, and dispose of waste through a sophisticated drainage system that funneled sewage away from living spaces. Public baths, such as the Great Bath in Mohenjo-Daro, were sites of communal activity, possibly linked to ritual purification, social gatherings, or health practices. Streets were cleaned regularly, and waste management extended to industrial areas, demonstrating a remarkable awareness of urban hygiene that contributed to overall health and longevity. Such attention to cleanliness suggests that the Indus people valued not only order in infrastructure, but order in daily life, understanding the link between environment and well-being long before modern public health theories emerged. Religious and cultural practices were seamlessly interwoven with everyday life. While there is no evidence of grand temples or palaces asserting the authority of kings, the spiritual world was expressed through small shrines, figurines, and ritual objects found within homes and public spaces. Mother goddess figurines hint at fertility cults, while animal motifs suggest veneration of nature and its cycles. Certain public spaces may have hosted ceremonies or communal events, fostering cohesion among citizens without imposing hierarchical control. Religion in the Indus Valley appears to have been personal and community-centered, integrated into the routines of life rather than dominating it, reflecting a culture that valued participation and continuity over spectacle and authority. Transportation and connectivity played a vital role in structuring daily routines. Streets accommodated carts and pedestrian traffic, while boats navigated rivers linking distant settlements. Merchants and traders traversed these networks, carrying goods, news, and ideas, ensuring that even remote neighborhoods felt connected to the wider civilization. The city layout facilitated both movement and surveillance, with wide avenues for commerce and narrower lanes providing privacy for homes, illustrating a balance between community interaction and personal space. Even the timing of daily activities, markets, work, and social gatherings likely followed the rhythms of light, water availability, and seasonal cycles, embedding natural patterns into the human schedule. Education and skill transmission were fundamental to sustaining urban life. Children learned not only practical skills, but also social norms, crafts, and potentially rudimentary literacy through observation and participation. Knowledge of construction,
irrigation and trade was passed down orally and experientially, ensuring that each generation could maintain and expand the infrastructure of the city. In workshops, apprentices observed masters shaping beads, carving seals, and working metals, reinforcing a culture where craftsmanship was both a necessity and an art form. The consistent quality of Indus artifacts over centuries suggests a disciplined and organized approach to education, even in the absence of formal schools as we understand them. Despite its complexity, life in the Indus Valley was not dominated by war or conquest. Archaeological evidence shows minimal fortifications compared to contemporary civilizations, and there is little indication of large-scale internal conflict. Instead, stability seems to have been maintained through social norms, urban design, and collective responsibility. This allowed people to focus on innovation, craft, and commerce rather than defense, fostering an environment where daily life could flourish with remarkable continuity over centuries. Even leisure and culture were integrated into the rhythm of life. Musical instruments, toys, and decorative objects indicate that recreation, aesthetic expression, and social rituals were part of everyday experience. Communal spaces allowed for interaction and entertainment, and the shared layout of neighborhoods facilitated social cohesion. Citizens of the Indus Valley lived in environments designed to optimize not only survival, but quality of life, reflecting a remarkable awareness of human needs and interactions. The sophistication of daily life in the Indus Valley revealed a civilization that was simultaneously practical, humane, and forward-thinking. Homes, streets, water systems, trade networks, crafts, and public spaces formed an integrated whole, creating a society where the success of the city depended on the cooperation of its people, the reliability of its infrastructure, and the wisdom to harmonize with the natural environment. These were not just cities, they were living systems, dynamic and resilient, maintained by countless small, deliberate choices made by ordinary individuals whose names we will never know. And yet, despite its brilliance, life in the Indus Valley was fragile. The reliance on stable rivers, predictable monsoons, and uninterrupted trade meant that environmental changes, climatic shifts, or disruptions in commerce could have devastating consequences. The very routines and systems that supported civilization were vulnerable to forces beyond human control, a tension that would ultimately shape the fate of these remarkable cities. But for now, at the height of their prosperity, life in the Indus world was vibrant, ordered, and astonishingly advanced. A civilization not defined by rulers or conquest, but the collective intelligence, ingenuity, and care of its people, living day by day.
The Indus Valley Civilization was not only remarkable for its urban planning and engineering, but also for its sophisticated economy and the extensive trade networks that connected it to distant lands, establishing it as a global power long before many other civilizations had ventured beyond their immediate surroundings. From the harbors along the Arabian Sea to the inland workshops and markets of Mohenjo-Daro, Harappa, and Lothal, the movement of goods, ideas, and people shaped daily life and reinforced the civilization's cohesion, wealth, and influence. Archaeological evidence, including finely crafted seals, standardized weights, and dockyard structures, reveals a society deeply engaged in both local and long-distance commerce, one that maintained remarkable consistency across hundreds of kilometers without leaving behind the kind of written records we rely on elsewhere to understand trade and economic policy. This absence of textual documentation only heightens the mystery of their global connections, suggesting that the Indus people had developed sophisticated accounting, negotiation, and regulatory practices embedded directly into their urban infrastructure and material culture. Seals discovered across Indus sites, often carved from steatite and etched with depictions of animals, humans, and symbolic script, were not mere decorative objects. They functioned as official markers of ownership, authenticity, and trade agreements.
Each seal was meticulously crafted and standardized, suggesting a regulated system for monitoring the flow of goods. These small objects provide a window into a complex network of economic transactions that stretched far beyond city walls. Some seals have been found in Mesopotamia, where ancient texts refer to a region called Meluha, widely believed to be the Indus Valley, confirming that trade extended across the Persian Gulf and into the Fertile Crescent. These artifacts illustrate that Indus merchants did not rely solely on local markets, but actively participated in international commerce, exchanging beads, textiles, metals, and semi-precious stones for silver, tin, and other resources unavailable locally. Weights, another critical tool of commerce, further highlight the civilization's economic sophistication. Uniform cubical weights, carefully carved from stone, have been uncovered at multiple sites, adhering to a consistent standard of measurement. This standardization implies a highly organized marketplace where fairness, accountability, and precision were paramount. Buyers and sellers could transact with confidence, knowing that the measures were consistent across towns and cities. The presence of identical weights in distant locations suggests coordination between different urban centers, a level of economic integration that rivals the sophisticated trading systems of later civilizations. It also underscores the Indus Valley's role as a cohesive economic network, where systems of exchange and regulation were internalized and functioned without overt enforcement or written legal codes. Maritime trade was equally vital to the Indus economy. Lothal, situated near the modern coast of Gujarat, housed what is considered one of the world's earliest known dockyards, meticulously engineered to manage tides and river flows. These docks enabled ships to load and unload goods efficiently, facilitating commerce with distant regions such as Mesopotamia, Oman, and perhaps even further. Archaeological evidence of shell, ivory, and precious stones suggests that Indus merchants navigated extensive sea routes, carrying commodities that were highly valued in distant markets. The existence of standardized seals and weights at port sites indicates that complex accounting and verification practices were employed to manage goods and ensure trust during long journeys. Maritime trade, in combination with riverine and overland routes, created a web of connectivity that allowed Indus cities to access resources, markets, and cultural influences far beyond the subcontinent. Land-based trade complemented maritime networks. Caravan routes connected Indus settlements to the interior regions of modern Pakistan and India, reaching mineral-rich areas, agricultural hinterlands, and distant settlements. Goods such as copper from Rajasthan, semi-precious stones from the northwest, and agricultural surplus flowed into cities, supporting workshops, markets, and the overall urban economy. Overland trade also facilitated the exchange of ideas, techniques, and cultural practices, helping to unify the civilization across a vast geographic area. Merchants, craftsmen, and transporters formed an integral part of daily life, ensuring that goods moved efficiently between production centers and points of consumption, while the standardized urban infrastructure, including streets, storage facilities, and way stations, supported the logistical demands of a thriving economy. Economic organization in the Indus Valley was not centralized in the sense of a monarchy or empire, yet it displayed remarkable coordination and sophistication. The uniformity of bricks, weights, measures, and urban planning suggests an underlying system of rules and standards that governed production, trade, and exchange. Workshop specialization allowed certain areas of the city to focus on particular crafts, while public granaries and storage facilities ensured the stability of essential resources. Markets functioned not only as sites of economic activity, but as social hubs, where knowledge, technology, and cultural practices were exchanged, further strengthening communal ties and economic resilience. This integration of commerce, infrastructure, and social life created a self-reinforcing system that could support large populations across multiple cities. Long-distance trade also brought foreign influences and opportunities for wealth accumulation, enabling the Indus civilization to participate in a broader global network. Materials like lapis lazuli from Afghanistan, carnelian from Gujarat, and ivory from distant regions flowed through the cities, while finished goods, including beads, pottery, and textiles, were exported to Mesopotamia and beyond. Evidence of Indus-style artifacts in Mesopotamian sites confirms that these exchanges were active and sustained over centuries. Yet the Indus people did not leave behind written records detailing contracts, treaties, or trade regulations, relying instead on standardized weights, seals, and social norms to regulate commerce. This suggests a level of trust, sophistication, and administrative skill that allowed them to manage complex transactions without the written bureaucracy that characterized other contemporary civilizations. The economic power of the Indus Valley was not merely in wealth, but in integration. Urban centers, workshops, ports, and agricultural hinterlands functioned as a cohesive system, with specialization and trade reinforcing both social and civic stability. Craft production provided surplus goods for local use and export, markets distributed resources efficiently, and maritime and overland trade connected the civilization to distant regions. Together, these elements created a resilient economy capable of supporting dense urban populations, large-scale construction projects, and an astonishing degree of civic planning, all without the oversight of kings, armies, or monumental bureaucracies. In essence, the Indus Valley was a civilization of invisible governance, where infrastructure, economic standards, and cultural norms operated as the regulatory framework, ensuring the smooth functioning of complex cities and long-distance trade. Its global connections, extending from the Indus to Mesopotamia and beyond, illustrate that it was not an isolated society, but a key player in early global commerce, thriving on networks of trust, craftsmanship, and organized exchange. They traded with the world without leaving written records behind, a testament to their ingenuity and a reminder of how much remains to be discovered about one of humanity's first economic superpowers.
One of the greatest mysteries of the Indus Valley Civilization is its writing system, a complex, elegant script etched on seals, pottery, and small tablets that whispers of a language we can no longer understand, leaving behind symbols that tantalize archaeologists and historians alike with their precision, beauty, and inscrutable meaning. Thousands of inscriptions have been discovered, ranging from the tiny handheld seals used for trade to larger stone or clay artifacts, each meticulously engraved with abstract motifs, animals, and geometric signs. Unlike cuneiform or hieroglyphics, which evolved into fully deciphered languages, the Indus script remains undeciphered, a silent testimony to a civilization that spoke, recorded, and communicated across hundreds of miles, yet left no words we can read. The script appears in standardized forms, often accompanied by iconography that suggests ritual, trade, or administrative use. Yet despite decades of study, no Rosetta Stone exists to bridge the gap between these enigmatic symbols and their spoken language, leaving their meaning shrouded in mystery. Seals from Mohenjo-Daro, Harappa, and other sites frequently feature animals, unicorns, bulls, elephants, paired with short sequences of signs that likely conveyed information about ownership, origin, or function. Some scholars argue that these symbols were used as trade markers, essentially labeling goods and denoting the merchant or workshop responsible for their creation, functioning similarly to modern trademarks or logos. Others suggest religious or ritual significance, proposing that the images and inscriptions served ceremonial purposes, recording prayers, deities, or sacred formulas that guided communal life. Still others theorized that the script represented a full language, a phonetic or logographic system capable of expressing spoken ideas, yet we have no bilingual inscriptions or sufficiently long texts to confirm this. Each interpretation opens a window into potential worlds that existed in the minds of the Indus people, yet the precise meaning remains elusive, frustrating scholars and fueling endless speculation. The brevity of most inscriptions adds to the puzzle. Unlike other ancient writing systems with long narrative texts, the Indus script is remarkably concise, often only 5 to 10 characters per seal. This brevity makes statistical and linguistic analysis challenging, leaving researchers divided over whether the script encodes a spoken language, a proto-writing system, or an entirely symbolic mode of communication. Some suggest that the Indus symbols were mnemonic aids used to record quantities, transactions, or locations rather than sentences or stories. Others believe that the combination of signs and animal motifs could encode metaphors, allegories, or esoteric meanings accessible only to trained initiates or merchants, a sort of coded literacy passed down within select social groups. Whatever the case, the script is a reminder that literacy need not conform to modern expectations, and that the Indus people may have possessed an intellectual sophistication that remains unmatched by contemporary civilizations in the region. Efforts to decipher the Indus script have spanned more than a century, employing methods ranging from traditional epigraphy to computational linguistics. Researchers have compared it with Dravidian languages, Sanskrit, and other ancient tongues, hoping to find patterns or cognates, yet no consensus has emerged. Some argue that the script may represent a lost language family entirely, one for which no modern descendant exists. Others caution that the brevity of inscriptions and absence of bilingual texts may make full decipherment impossible, leaving the script a permanent enigma. Every new seal or artifact discovered sparks renewed hope, but also highlights the limitations of our understanding. For all the material remains, we are left listening to a silent language, unable to hear the voices of those who created it. The Indus script also provides insight into trade and administration. Many seals were discovered in commercial contexts, such as marketplaces or dockyards, hinting that the symbols were essential tools for maintaining order in economic exchanges across vast distances. The uniformity of the script across cities separated by hundreds of kilometers suggests that standardized literacy or symbolic understanding may have been a prerequisite for participation in urban and trade life. In a sense, the script functioned as a social glue, enabling coordination, record-keeping, and identity verification without the need for written contracts or central authority. Yet this very system, so crucial to commerce and urban cohesion, leaves us with tantalizingly little evidence of what was actually said or thought by the people who used it daily. The religious or cultural aspects of the script remain equally mysterious. Figurines, seals, and ritual objects often accompany inscriptions, suggesting that writing may have played a role in spiritual life, ceremonies, or symbolic expression. Certain motifs recur frequently: unicorns, bulls, and other animals that may have carried sacred or symbolic meaning. Yet, unlike Mesopotamia or Egypt, where written records are interwoven with mythology, history, and law, the Indus script offers no narratives, no divine pronouncements, no codified moral codes. It is a silent language that hints at a worldview we may never fully reconstruct, an intellectual and cultural system that flourished without leaving comprehensible testimony. Some researchers speculate that the decline of the Indus civilization may have contributed to the script's disappearance. As urban centers collapsed, trade networks fragmented, and populations migrated, the knowledge required to interpret or reproduce the script may have been lost. This makes the Indus script not only a tool of communication, but also a fragile vessel of history, vulnerable to the same forces: environmental change, societal disruption, and cultural transformation that eventually led to the decline of the civilization itself. It is a reminder that writing, literacy, and record-keeping are not only technological achievements, but cultural practices that require continuity and social reinforcement. In the end, the Indus script represents both the ingenuity and the mystery of the civilization that created it. It is a silent language, speaking through millennia through carefully carved symbols, animal motifs, and geometric patterns, yet leaving us without a direct understanding of its words or meanings. It challenges our assumptions about what writing is and how it functions, suggesting that communication can be sophisticated, standardized, and essential to society without leaving behind readable narratives. The civilization spoke, organized, traded, and possibly worshipped through these symbols, yet the absence of decipherable records leaves us listening to echoes rather than voices, glimpsing an ancient world that thrived in silence. As we reflect on the Indus script, we are reminded that a civilization's achievements are not measured only in what we can read or record, but in the systems, symbols, and social structures that enable daily life, commerce, and culture to flourish. This silent language remains one of the most intriguing and enduring enigmas of human history, a testament to the sophistication, ingenuity, and mystery of the Indus Valley Civilization, a society that spoke without leaving readable words, yet communicated across time through the enduring beauty and consistency of its symbols.
The spiritual and cultural life of the Indus Valley Civilization reveals a society that was as sophisticated in belief as it was in engineering and trade. A civilization whose religious practices, rituals, and symbolic expressions not only sustained communal cohesion, but also influenced the cultural landscape of South Asia for millennia, laying the foundation for traditions that would emerge in later Hindu, Jain, and Buddhist contexts. Unlike contemporary civilizations such as Egypt or Mesopotamia, where monumental temples and grandiose religious architecture dominated cityscapes, the Indus Valley demonstrates a subtler, decentralized, and deeply human approach to spiritual life, one integrated into daily existence rather than imposed through towering structures or elite authority. Archaeological evidence suggests that the Indus people practiced a form of religion that combined reverence for nature, fertility, water, and animals with ritual acts designed to harmonize human life with cosmic and environmental rhythms, reflecting a worldview in which balance, order, and renewal were paramount. Proto-Hindu symbols are among the most intriguing indicators of Indus religious thought. Seals and artifacts depict motifs that echo later Hindu iconography, such as the sacred bull, the pipal or fig tree, and figures seated in meditative postures that resemble yogic traditions. These symbols suggest a focus on natural forces and human interaction with the divine, emphasizing meditation, contemplation, and ritualized engagement with the environment. The bull, often portrayed on seals, may have symbolized fertility, strength, and agricultural prosperity, a vital concern for a society dependent on crop cycles and river management. Likewise, the presence of water-related motifs, including pools, rivers, and flowing lines, indicates a reverence for water as a life-giving and purifying force, reflecting the civilization's reliance on precise hydraulic and drainage systems that ensured urban health and sustainability. Mother goddess figures are another prominent feature of Indus spiritual life. Small terracotta figurines, often with exaggerated fertility features, suggest a focus on procreation, abundance, and protection of the household. These figures may have been venerated in domestic shrines or community spaces, offering blessings for fertility, health, and agricultural success. The widespread presence of these figurines across urban and rural sites suggests that the veneration of feminine divine principles was a unifying cultural practice, transcending individual cities and linking communities through shared religious values. Such reverence for a mother goddess aligns with a broader South Asian spiritual motif that emphasizes the creative, nurturing, and sustaining aspects of life, a theme that persists in later religious traditions across the subcontinent. The Great Bath at Mohenjo-Daro offers one of the most striking windows into the ritual and communal dimensions of Indus spirituality. This massive, watertight pool, complete with steps, drains, and surrounding rooms, appears to have been used for purification or ritual bathing, potentially serving as a central ceremonial space that reinforced civic and religious identity. Unlike temples dedicated to kings or specific deities, the Great Bath seems designed for collective participation, where citizens engaged in shared practices that reinforced social cohesion and spiritual continuity. The careful engineering of the bath, ensuring clean water, drainage, and accessibility, underscores the importance of water in religious life, not only as a physical necessity, but as a medium for cleansing, renewal, and symbolic rebirth. Ritual purification may have been tied to life stages, seasonal cycles, or communal events, reflecting a religion deeply interwoven with urban planning, social order, and environmental awareness.
The absence of monumental temples or palaces in the Indus Valley further distinguishes its spiritual culture. Unlike civilizations where religious life was concentrated in grand structures under elite control, the Indus civilization appears to have practiced decentralized, participatory spirituality. Shrines, figurines, and small ritual spaces suggest that religious experience was accessible to ordinary citizens, integrated into homes, streets, and community spaces. This decentralized model may have fostered inclusivity, resilience, and adaptability, allowing beliefs and practices to flourish across the vast geographic expanse of the civilization without relying on central authority or elite displays of power. The uniformity of religious symbols and practices across cities implies a shared cultural and spiritual identity, binding communities together even as they managed complex urban, economic, and social systems. Sacred animals, particularly bulls, elephants, and mythical creatures depicted on seals and figurines, were integral to religious symbolism. These animals may have represented divine qualities, cosmic principles, or protective spirits, reinforcing ethical, ecological, and social norms. The repeated presence of these motifs suggests that the Indus people communicated spiritual values through imagery and symbolism as much as through ritual, creating a visual language of belief that transcended spoken words or written records. Combined with abstract signs from the Indus script, these symbols hint at a religious system that was both codified and adaptable, capable of sustaining continuity even amid changing environmental and social conditions. Cultural expressions extended into art, craft, and domestic life, reflecting a civilization in which aesthetic sensibility, spiritual practice, and daily routines were seamlessly integrated. Jewelry, pottery, figurines, and seals were often imbued with symbolic meaning, suggesting that craftsmanship served not only practical or decorative purposes, but also spiritual and ritual functions. The consistency of these motifs across urban centers indicates that artisans participated in transmitting cultural and religious norms, ensuring that shared symbols and practices were maintained across generations. Art and spirituality were thus not separate domains, but intertwined, reinforcing identity, social cohesion, and civic pride. Festivals, seasonal rituals, and communal activities likely punctuated the rhythms of urban life, though the specifics remain speculative. Observations of city layouts, water systems, and symbolic artifacts suggest that ceremonies may have aligned with agricultural cycles, river flooding, and celestial events, creating a temporal framework that linked human activity to the natural world. In this context, religion was not an abstract philosophy, but a lived, everyday experience that guided work, trade, family life, and civic engagement. Ultimately, the beliefs, symbols, and rituals of the Indus Valley Civilization shaped a cultural foundation that would resonate across South Asia for thousands of years. Proto-Hindu symbols, mother goddess worship, ritual bathing, and the integration of spiritual life into daily routines reveal a sophisticated worldview that balanced human needs, environmental awareness, and communal cohesion. Unlike civilizations that emphasized power through monuments or kingship, the Indus people demonstrated that belief could be lived, practiced, and transmitted through daily acts, shared spaces, and enduring symbols. Their culture was subtle yet profound, creating a legacy of spirituality, civic-mindedness, and reverence for nature that continues to echo in the region's history. The Indus reminds us that civilization is not defined solely by material grandeur or military conquest, but by the integration of belief, practice, and community into everyday life. The spiritual practices of the Indus people, though often silent and enigmatic, reveal a society deeply connected to its environment, its neighbors, and its own internal systems. A civilization whose culture was as enduring and sophisticated as its cities, trade networks, and engineering feats. Their beliefs shaped South Asia for thousands of years, leaving behind a rich, though often cryptic spiritual heritage that continues to inspire and intrigue scholars, offering glimpses into a world that thrived long before written records could tell its story.